Hello, my name is Joseph Schmidt, and this week's Fireside Chat focuses on how does a superintendent support the development of culturally responsive practices among teachers and staff so they are able to recognize, confront, and alter institutional biases of student marginalization, deficit-based schooling, and low expectations associated with race, class, culture, and language, gender and social or sexual orientation, and disability or special status. Here in Minnesota, it is a requirement of relicensure for teachers to complete a cultural competency class. If done individually, um, speaking from experience, it costs between $30 and $50 per teacher per class. If a school district reimburses, then that must be budgeted. If your school district reimburses for professional development classes, then they have to build that into their budget. However, if your district is like the one I'm currently in, then you will have a professional development that must be scheduled and budgeted for the staff for that school year. Um, this upcoming week, we have our conferences on Thursday, and then Friday, we're having an in service. And one of the trainings during our in service is on cultural competency. So our superintendent had to budget for that, bring in a speaker that is going to, help with the instruction in that. We are having ours as part of an in-service next week, but this is a requirement of relicensure, which comes around once every 5 years in Minnesota. So in Minnesota, to get licensed or relicensed, your license will last for 5 years, and then you have to do this class again. So my question is this enough? And looking at our uh, focus for this fireside chat for this week, I would have to definitely say no. I don't think so. Superintendents have to have more of a plan than just one cultural competency class every 5 years. They must have a professional development plan and opportunities to ensure that the message is getting through. These must be budgeted and are thus linked to school finance in that manner. But more than that, a superintendent and all administrators must create buy in from the staff. They must have expectations that are measurable and inflexible. Admin must be in the building and the classrooms. Okay, speaking as a classroom teacher, I know there are some teachers that get thrown off and don't like having observations conducted. I'm of the mindset, and this probably goes back to my military background, that if you want to watch me, fine, watch me. I mean, I'm not perfect. I'll make mistakes, but I'm not going to get thrown off just because some other adult walks into my classroom. It does create a disruption with the students, because they'll stop and look and want to, but administration has to be in your classroom. They've got to make sure that the staff is doing what they're supposed to be doing. Conducting observations and spot checks. All staff and faculty must accept that students and all of the students within the buildings are our students. Um, Superintendents and administrators have to build that culture within your school and your school district that the faculty is there to teach all students, not just those in your classroom. I mean, I know that's kind of goes against what we're uh, used to, that we only care about those students that are in our classroom, but we have to. We have to in order to ensure that these standards are being met. Regardless of what grade or area you teach, all students are our students. We must work together to ensure that they receive the best education possible. It really comes down to creating a culture within each school and our district that accepts every child as a student. There can't be any exceptions. And there can't be those students that, for some teachers, like, oh, I don't want that student in my classroom. It's too hard to teach them. They're English language learners or they're special education. Let's leave it to that teacher to handle it. Well, that teacher is only going to have them for 30 to 60 minutes, if that. You have them for 5 or 6, 7 hours. You can't just shut them out of everything. And that culture has to be built by the administrators within the school and the school district. Um, we have a requirement to teach all students, but we all also know that there are ways going about doing that that are less or more effective. And superintendents and administrators have to create that culture within your district that everyone accepts all students as theirs. Well, thank you for this week, and I will see you next week.